Hey everybody, Eric Cowan, Sage Dynamics.
And I'm Tiffany, his wife.
And this is the annual bourbon video. So as you guys know, every year I do a video on my favorite bourbons and whiskeys throughout the year because I'm a bit of a connoisseur of both. This year is kind of a big deal because it's the 10th year of the bourbon and whiskey episode. Also this year, every bourbon and whiskey except for one were gifted to me by alumni throughout the year as I travel the country teaching classes. So big hope on that, of course, when being gifted these things was that they were all going to be good. Let's get right to it. Tiffany has joined me because she's going to be trying all of these for the first time here on camera so we can get a second opinion. When we first got together, she was not much for the bourbon and whiskey, but over time, you kind of got into it.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a Manhattan girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she also finished my Blanton's recently just as a tub drink. So I got to get another bottle of that. But I think it's going to be fun because she's probably got a little bit more of a acute palate than I do when it comes to the general flavors of bourbon and whiskey. So her opinion is going to be maybe a little bit different than mine. Up first we have Sweet Home, which is an Alabama whiskey, 90 proof. I didn't really look up the pricing on this, but this generally kind of tastes maybe like it's a mid-tier. It tastes like whiskey. It's actually pretty pleasant. It doesn't have a very astringent taste to it. And it's not necessarily something I would sip neat or on ice, but I might use it as a mixer. All in all, it's a pretty good flavor. It's actually really light for a 90 proof, which I kind of appreciated because if you wanted to, you could obviously do the ice or the sip it neat, but I feel like it would go great with some sour mash, some sour mix, or whatever your preferred mixer is. Let's see what you think.
You can mix this with sour mix?
Yeah, to make a whiskey sour.
Just mix.
Yeah.
That smells good. That's not bad.
Yeah. Pretty good, right?
Actually,
it's light.
Yes.
Yeah, for a 90 proof, I was surprised by that.
It starts off kind of woody,
Mm-hmm.
but then then it gets kind of sweet.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cool. Now I know which bottle you'll drink next. Next up is Hocha Town Distilling Small Batch Bourbon Whiskey. This is from Oklahoma, which I was gifted by a student, like everything else. And I kind of feel like the easiest way to describe this one would be, it tastes like Jefferson's Ocean. It's very similar. It's got that similar, almost like that salty wood taste to it. This is something that's actually really smooth. To me, it was really smooth. It's something I could easily drink over ice, neat, or if you wanted to, mix it with something. These days I find myself, unless I'm taking a shot, preferring to mix most bourbons and whiskeys depending on, the quality or the tier, if you would. But I was glad to try out new whiskeys, new bourbons throughout the year because these are coming from students all over the country and it's not something I would necessarily be able to find here in Tennessee. This particular one, I can definitely see myself trying to find another bottle of this once I finish this one. Let's see what you think. Just a little bit.
That's got a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit of a bite to it, right?
A little bit of
yeah. It's not quite astringent, though. It's just heavy.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's good, though. Why are bourbon bottles so boring?
They are really boring. We talk about this actually all the time, how like red wine bottles are very punk rock and very like dark and mysterious, and white wine bottles are like, we're in a sorority.
I know.
It's very annoying. I think if one white wine company would just break away from that mold and actually have like a badass like punk rock, like dark metal bottle, they'd probably sell very, very well.
We should do that.
That sounds like a lot of money because you got to do the whole vineyard thing. This is a bottle of Cedar Ridge Quintessential, which is 118 proof, so it's flammable. And immediately, even if you taped over that and gave someone a blind taste test and be like, hey, does this taste like it would power a chainsaw? They'd probably say yes. The thing about it is, though, it tastes exactly how it smells. It's got a very strong presence, if you will. This is something that, like, this is for serious drinking. It's not bad. I actually like the taste, but it would have to be something that I would pull off the shelf when my goal was to drink.
Bathtub drinking?
Yeah, bathtub drinking. There you go. But like, this is one of those drinks that will involuntarily really relax you. If you're trying to have some fun, this is going to make you think more of like, I should just go home and go to bed. Or I don't want to be around people. That kind of thing. As far as the flavor goes, like, I got a little bit of caramel from it. I don't really like to talk about notes because this isn't wine, but there's definitely different flavors, as we know, through different bourbons and whiskeys, which is why certain ones appeal to certain people and not others. I have a very particular palate. My wife may be different, so let's see what she thinks.
I need to come up with some good adjectives. It kind of smells like the last one.
It is similar. Much stronger, though.
I mean, it smells like it's got a dab of
You can run a weed whacker off of that for sure.
kerosene-ish.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think about putting it in a lamp, but yeah, that would work. Or a jet. Yeah.
It's very... It's like, gosh, the word. It's like soft.
Mm-hmm.
It's very...
Almost like it evaporates in your mouth. So it's like you get the flavor and then it just goes away. That reminded me of white whiskey.
Squishy.
Squishy. Okay. So it's...
Like it's, you would be better at finding the word. It just feels, it's like...
It's mysterious.
It's mysterious.
Yeah.
Like it,
okay.
And it does have that evaporation sort of feel to it,
yeah.
I guess.
But it's not quite as stringent.
But it's soft.
Yeah. Okay.
With a touch of kerosene.
All right, so this one is super fun. This is a Montana bourbon whiskey, and it's hucked.
That bottle's a little bit better.
It's a Huckleberry whiskey, so it's basically like, I mean, obviously it's not a liqueur. It's not quite like a, what's the other word that they use for fruity drinks? It's not a novelty, which is initially what I thought it was going to be, because sometimes people will flavor their whiskeys, like you see like the peanut butter whiskey, and you see like the even honey whiskey. Something that people describe. Huckleberries are something that most people are not familiar with outside of the movie Tombstone and an often misquoted line. So I've had huckleberries before as a child. I'd never had them as an adult mixed with bourbon whiskey, so I was pretty curious about it. And the guy that gave it to me said that he wasn't like a huge connoisseur, but he'd heard that it was good, and he was right. This stuff is delicious. It would actually be a crime to mix this with anything, I think. I wouldn't put it with anything other than a glass. That would be the limit. And honestly, like, I feel like even though it's not really socially acceptable, I feel like you should just drink it out of the bottle so you don't introduce any foreign possibilities into the experience. You can definitely tell that there's, I mean, obviously the alcohol, but there's that fruit there, but it's not overpowering. It's pretty pleasant. It reminds me a little bit of pancakes.
Oh my, I'm excited. I like this bottle out of all of them.
Okay. It is a good bottle.
And it's got the little Montana back here.
Yeah, gotta have the state. Let's see what you think.
Okay, that's definitely got a dark fruit smell.
And it's only 75 proof, so...
It smells muddly.
Okay.
Like a muddled
all right. So like somebody put some fruit in it.
Mashed it up.
Yeah.
Muddled it up. Mild. You do taste the huckleberry, but it's not strong. That would be dangerous.
Yeah.
I think you could drink
it's
a lot of that.
It's too easy.
Like, I could pour that in a wine glass.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. A little bit more powerful.
That's good, though. That's
wine.
good. It's
you could
different.
take just a little bit of wine.
If you put some fruit in it, it would be good.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would just...
Well...
I wouldn't do that. but you're more
You
than
put
welcome.
some huckleberries in it. Some muddled
Like a hat on a hat.
huckleberries.
Put some huckleberries with your huckleberries.
Well, I don't know what opposite fruit would bring out the flavor.
I think
I'm not
honestly,
a bartender.
if I was going to put fruit in it, I would go with like some kind of citrus.
Like a lemon.
Like a lemon. Just keep it
Okay.
simple. Or an orange. I think an orange might
Okay.
be. We can try that. We can try that. All right, so this one is not rare or unique. It's very ubiquitous. You've seen it before. Some of you probably have it in your house. This is a Macallan 12. And if you've been watching the bourbon videos for a couple of years, and if you brought it up in conversation or comments, you know that I do not like scotch. I do not like the experience of earth in my drinks, and they often taste peaty or grassy or dirty. So I've generally stayed away from scotch, but I had a student gift this to me, and they said, you know, they enjoy it. Maybe I would too. And I'm familiar with Macallan. I've had Macallan before, but I've never had the 12-year. And maybe that's the sweet spot. Maybe that's where it's at. This is obviously it's a Scotch whiskey. So it still technically falls under the content of the bourbon/whiskey video because at least they put whiskey on the label. I was really surprised that I enjoyed this. I actually prepared myself to spit it out because I generally do not like Scotch that much. It does not appeal to my palate at all. This is like drinking a good dream. Like you wrap yourself in warmth and good feelings and you just relax with the experience of, well, the Macallan 12. I'm sure, and I know Macallan goes all the way up in rarity and year and reserve and things like that. 12 seems to me, at least for me, to be the sweet spot because I've had, I believe it was a 22, 20, I can't remember exactly what year Macallan it was, and it was like getting punched in the mouth by a child. It doesn't hurt you, but you'd rather it not happen. So I was really surprised by this. Let's see what you think.
So this is also good for the bath.
In a warm bath? You got to try it first.
You said wrap
It's
you
like
up in
it's like a bath on the
warm
inside and a bath on the outside.
Oh, okay. Ooh, it's stinky.
Okay, well, give it a sip.
It smells like a mold.
That's pretty apropos for Scotch, actually.
But it tastes better than it smells.
Yeah, which is good.
It's light.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty straightforward and plain. But it's tasty.
Yeah. And usually Scotch is like in your face.
A good sipping beverage.
Okay.
Like a nice prohibition bar.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
Some relaxing. It's not a sports bar drink.
No.
No.
It's not a loud environment drink.
Yeah, it's not domestic
You're right.
beer
It's
and shots of
very
Fireball.
quiet. I would want to be in a nice,
like
chill environment.
You have a desire to listen to music while you drink this. That's the kind of the impression
I
that
could
got.
jazz it up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank God an alumni did not give me this because I would send a very tersely worded email about how dare you. This is called Ammunition, and it is a Kentucky bourbon, 90 proof. So you expect it to be pretty strong. The thing about this is it's finished in Cabernet casks, barrels, whatever you want to call them. My general experience, as you guys know if you've watched the videos throughout the years, is when you start trying to finish your whiskey in barrels of other alcohol, it's literally playing Russian roulette. It may go well for you, but it's probably not going to go well for the people who buy it, and they'll probably only buy it once. And of course, that's just my opinion. I think that there's a lot of wine drinkers out there that this may pull them into the whiskey world. I think that's the idea behind it, or it's just to set yourself apart, be different, whatever. It's called Ammunition. And that's literally, I'm like, oh, cool, gun liquor. And I've been wrong before. I've got like the Gunfighter whiskey. If you guys remember, I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible, and it was actually pretty good. This is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's worse.
Oh.
It is, and I don't want to prime you too much, but we'll get your honest opinion about it.
I might like it because it's wine.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Wine
You may
cask.
completely disagree with me, and that's fine because you can have it. I don't really want it in the house.
Just store it in the bathroom.
Yeah, you can just keep it in the bathroom. I'm trying to find a way to really describe my disdain. It's drinking this is like being perpetually rear-ended. Like you're in traffic and you get the little bump and that initial feeling you get of, oh my God, how much damage has been done? What's going on with my car? Like, how dare you? Who is this person? That's what this is like. The whole experience from start to finish is just terrible. I don't know if there's a way that I can kind of describe it in something that's not so ethereal. Like it's just a bad day in a bottle. If you're feeling good about yourself, this will solve that problem. Like if you're like, you know what, I'm being a little bit too optimistic these days, let me grab a bottle of ammunition and have a couple of shots. Because it's going to make you question all the choices you've ever made because you made this choice. It's not the worst I've ever had, but it makes you forget about the worst you've ever had because this is right there in front of you. So it's like dealing with the problem you have versus the problems you have had. I wouldn't mix it with anything except for water as I pour it down the sink.
Oh.
I think that would be the best way to handle this situation, all told. It's not flammable, so you can't use it as a weapon. It doesn't really serve any other purpose except for you to put it on a shelf and just stare at it with the occasional scorn of how dare I buy that.
Anything is a weapon, babe.
Flammable. All right. You may have a different opinion.
I
Let's
might,
find out.
and now I feel bad if I do.
You shouldn't.
It hardly smells.
Yeah. I think they were going for like subtlety with it.
It's very subtle.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. You can tell there's something else going on in there.
Yes.
And it's not like the Huckleberry where it's a pleasant, lighthearted experience.
I mean, I don't think it's terrible.
Okay. What do you think about it, though?
It does have a little bit, like I could tell, like a smidgen of like a dark wine, almost like a plum.
Mm-hmm. Because they didn't say what kind of cab it is.
Right.
They just said it was cab.
You can tell it has a touch of something, like a saturated piece of wood with red wine. That's what it.
It's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this stuff is pretty cheap, I imagine the cab was pretty cheap too.
Yeah.
And
I
honestly,
mean, that's exactly what it tastes like.
Yeah.
It tastes like you poured some dark, like super dark red, or a plum wine or something.
Yeah. And I'm super picky about my red, so it's
Me
obvious
too,
that I probably
because
wouldn't like it.
I usually don't like it unless it's sweet. But it's like they saturated some wood with it and set it out in the rain, and then it got super wet, and then they just squeezed it out.
Like a rag?
Yes.
Just
With the
wringing
wood.
it out? Yeah. So that's actually pretty cool because her experience with it wasn't nearly. I mean, I felt like I'd been the victim of a crime, but you obviously don't.
It's not that bad. I've had worse.
Yeah. Well, so have I, but this is right there in front of me. So again, it's not as and I will say this is not as bad as the stuff we had last year. That duck rabbit or squirrel rabbit or whatever it was. I think I threw that bottle in the trash.
Did I taste that?
No.
Oh.
You're lucky you didn't. The whole bottle is nothing but puns. So as soon as you read the label and you realize it's all puns,
I remember that bottle.
yeah.
I remember that.
And that was
bottle.
given to me with someone of the expectation like, hey, this is probably going to be the worst bourbon you have all year, and they were right. This was a decision I inflicted upon myself.
Well, at least the bottle is it's got a little bit of art on it.
Okay, I mean that's something. Yeah. So you can drink this because I'm not gonna.
Okay, don't throw it away, please.
I really want to thank you guys. I want to wish you guys a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas for whatever you guys happen to celebrate because, you know, it's just fair to be all-inclusive in regards to that. This has been 10 years of the Bourbon Whiskey video, and I'm going to keep doing it. Maybe next year Tiffany will join me as well. I think it was kind of fun to get at least a second opinion for you guys, for someone with a slightly different palate who isn't as necessarily as snobby as I am when it comes to the bourbon and the whiskey. Yeah. I think that was fun.
I'm a little more open-minded.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's one of the reasons why I'm there.
I mean, some stuff is disgusting. I will admit it. But
Yeah.
Your opinion on this scared me a little at first.
Well, and I was worried about priming you.
When you tasted it kind of in secret, but I could tell you were like, oh, yep.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he hates that.
I do. I hate it. I hate it quite a bit. But it's good to have
It's okay.
Yeah, it's good to have a second opinion. I don't agree with that, but you can have
I know.
it. You can have it.
Okay.
So definitely always good to bring you guys this video. Those of you guys, of course, on Patreon are going to see this first, but I'm putting it out obviously on YouTube as well because, you know, in the future, you might be watching this on YouTube. And we're going to keep doing it. I thought about doing a biannual, but probably just going to keep it to that special one time a year type of video just so we can talk about the experience. And I just don't seek out and enjoy the bourbon and the whiskey as often as I used to, so it might take me a year to build up a collection that I can then recommend to you guys. But I think I'm probably going to stick with this format of just doing bourbons, whiskeys, scotch whiskeys that are gifted to me. I think that's cool because then I get an impression of what other people think I might like, and we'll see if we actually do.
I should make you taste wines.
We could do a wine video. Maybe. I don't know. Till next time, everybody. Aaron Cowan.
Tiffany Cowan.
Sage Dynamics. Drink accordingly.